Okay, so we're going to move on to a topic called using known facts, and this is where the examiners will give you a calculation which they'll give you the answer to, and you're going to try and use associated facts to try and work out exactly what the final value is. So, for example, in this case I've got 3.6 times 48 and I'm using that to work out 36 times 48. There's a couple of different ways of doing it, and I'm going to use the method which is using estimation to get the right order of magnitude. So let's take our first example. So given that we know that 3.6 times 48 equals 172.8, we've got exactly the same digits here, it's just we know the placed value is going to be different. So I'm going to start by writing that I know that my answer is going to involve 1728. It's just a question of whether I'm going to need to put zeros after the answer or put a decimal point somewhere in it. Well, let's go back to what we did last lesson, which is to look at approximation. Here, I could approximate this to one significant figure to give me 40. My 48, the 8 pushes the 4 up, would give me 40 times 50, which gives me an answer of 2000. So I know my answer should be roughly 2000. Well, the answer as it stands at the moment is 1728, which is the closest I'm going to get to 2000. So that's my correct answer. Have a look at the next one. Again, I'm going to write out my digits of 1728. Let's just write them here, give myself enough space. 1728, because again, I've got 36 times 48 must give me something to do with the digit 1728. Here, I'm going to round these again to one significant figure. The 6 pushes the 3 up to a 4. The 8 pushes the 4 up to a 5. Gives me an answer of 20. So I'm going to need to do something to this number to make it as close as possible to 20. My decimal point could go here, it would be 172.8. Here, 17.28, or here, 1.728. Well, clearly the closest I can get to 20 is by putting it there, 17.28. My last one's slightly more difficult because it involves a division. Well, if we think about it, if I rearrange this, I would end up with 172.8 divided by 36, divided by 3.6 is 48. So I know that here, the answer to my division must involve the digits 48. Again, I don't know where I'm going to put the decimal point or whether I'm going to put any zeros in afterwards. Again, we're going to round to one significant figure. So I've got my 7, which pushes my 1 up to 2. So it's going to be 200 divided by, my 6 is going to push my 3 up to a 4 divided by 40. It's going to give me an answer. 200 divided by 40 is 20 divided by 4, which gives me 5. The closest I can get to 5 there is going to be 4.8. Some of you may have different methods that you want to use with that by looking at multiplying or dividing by tens. That's absolutely fine as well. Just make sure you've got both methods available. Please pause the video to finish taking down these worked examples, and then we'll move on to the questions. So I'm setting you 3 sets of 3 questions. Your first set are using this fact, your second set is going to be using this fact, your third set is going to be using this fact. Please can you pause the video now, write down the questions, and then have a go at seeing if you can solve them yourself before pressing unpause to look at our solutions. So here are the solutions set out to the questions that you've just done. The first couple we should be absolutely fine with, just looking at the approximations I made. Just be careful here on C that you've got 700 divided by 300. It doesn't go in exactly, so you could have rounded that down to 600 to see that 600 divided by 300 would have given you 2. It's going to give you an answer of roughly 2, and so we know that the correct answer must be 2.2. Here again we've got 8,000 divided by 5,000. Again, you could have rounded that down to 4,000 if you wanted to give you an answer of 2, which shows you that your answer must be 1.7. Here we get an answer of 7.752 because 2 times 5 equals 10. It's slightly different once we get to 3b because it's not using the exact fact themselves. So for 3b, when you're asked to do 42 times 264, Here you're being asked to recognise that 42 is half of 84, so you're going to need to halve your answer 22,176, and I've made a mistake just here, which I'll correct now. It should be 22,176, which should give you an answer of 11,088. Your last question here, rather than 84 times 264, which we know, you've got 85 times 264, so you've got another 264 to add on. When you add that on, you should have got 22,440. Very well done, particularly if you got those last two correct. So can you give yourself a mark out of 9? And there was an excellent mark out of 9, and then I'd like you, please, if you're having any difficulty with it, to go on to Hegarty 135 and 136.